Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today, I would like to use two articles, but they're related or intertwined. One is from Reuters from April 5th, 2022, by Lucia Mutikani, and it's titled U.S. Trade Deficit Remains at Record High in February. And then the other article is from the New York Times from Tuesday, April 5th, 2022, by Ben Castleman, and it's titled "The U.S. Economy is Booming, so why are economists worrying about a recession?" Going at the first one, the U.S. trade deficit. It says here the U.S. trade deficit held at a record high in February as both exports and imports surged, indicating that the trade remained a drag on economic growth in the first quarter. Okay. Uh, It says here that the trade deficit dipped 0.1% to $89.2 billion in February. Data for December was revised to show a 89.2 billion shortfall, still an all-time high instead of the previously reported 89.7 billion. Economists polled by Reuters had forecast an $88.5 billion deficit. Well, you know, imports and exports, they matter, how much you sell and how much you get back. And it seems like we continue to, United States, continues to run a deficit in imports, exports. And that really can't be good, considering that, you produce less than you get in. So that means you depend more on the other ones. That's among other reasons why. Um, Then it says here that when adjusted for inflation, the goods trade deficit decreased 1.6 billion dollars to $116.3 billion in February. So how could that be? When adjusted for inflation, the goods trade deficit decreased 1.6 billion to 116.3 billion in February. Trade has subtracted from gross domestic product growth for 6 straight quarters. Growth estimates for the first quarter range from as low as 0.4% annualized rate to as high as 2.8 percent pace. The economy grew at a 6.9 pace in the fourth quarter. Wow, that's fantastic. Now, where do I see that? Do I see it in the income? Do I see it in the merchandise, in products I buy, or where do I see it? Do I see it in my lifetime? Will my fifth generation will see it, or who's gonna see this? Because I don't see it. I don't see it. And the second article says that the U.S. economy is booming. So why are the economists worrying about a recession? It says here that employees are adding hundreds of thousands of jobs a month and would hire even more people if they could find them. Consumers are spending, businesses are investing, and wages are rising at the fastest pace in decades. Well, let's unpack this claim here. Employees are adding hundreds of thousands of jobs a month. If those employees are in the public sector, which is the government, the state, the county area, that's not adding. That's not adding because they are actually a burden. Yeah, they're going to be the consumers, but they eat the taxes that the people from the private sector create. That's the real creation of jobs. That's the real creation of revenue. That's how you measure if its economy is growing, not by having everybody working for the state or for the government or for the federal government or whatever. No, that's not how you do it. But they don't mention that. Then they say here that consumers are spending. Of course we are, and are spending more than we did 3 seconds ago and more than we did 5 seconds ago. Why? Because of the inflation. The prices are increasing to a higher rate than our incomes. or our investments in many cases. And it says here that the wages are rising at their fastest pace in decades. I don't believe that. And even if that happens, it might happen through artificial methods, which is increase the lowest uh, income per economy. You know, make it, let's say, from you make it from 10, you make a law and say from now on is going to be the minimum wage will be $17. Guess what's going to happen with the products? All of a sudden, we're going to grow proportionally, unless the economy is doing right and it's healthy, and then you can see, the competition. By competition, prices go down and so on. But that's not the case. And why do I tell you that's not the case? Because from what I know, direct experience, I look at how much people are, how their wages are increased, 2%, 1% a year, maybe. And then I look at the prices and they're double. It's 100% increase, 80%, 12% for goods that we, the population, consume every day. I don't care if Bentley or Lamborghini or Ferrari increased only 1%. I don't care because nobody buys that. How many buy those? Not many. I'm talking about milk, I'm talking about bread, I'm talking about meat, I talk about things that people, electricity, gas, all that, all those things increased at a higher percentage, higher pace than the wages. So yes, the wages might increase artificially, but then the inflation is so big, then these are not going to catch up. It's going to be like this. These are the wages. This is the prices. That's the way it goes. And then, yeah, it might increase at a higher pace, but this increase definitely at a much higher than its pace and this pace. But nevertheless, they can say, oh, we increased your wages with 3% like never before. Yeah, and the inflation, the real inflation for goods that we consume, the real inflation is like 24 to 35, right? So what are we going to do about it? Am I winning? No, I'm losing. And I don't care if these guys talk about, the inflation rate is just 6% or 4% or that. Yeah, overall, yeah, but for my real life, it's not. Um, it says here the rapid inflation, soaring oil prices, and global instability have led forecasters to sharply lower their estimates for economic growth this year. Yes, and they will always blame Russia, but at least for the oil and oil, gas, all that, everything else goes up. But remember, in November, when there were elections, last elections, Biden, Trump, the gas at the pump, unleaded gas was 1.7, $1.07 a gallon. Now is what? 3.90 because this guy started tapping into the reserves that other people stored in good times. So now they use that. Why do you use that? Because you're not doing a good job with taking care of the economy. That's why. Because they cover it. And besides, before they started tapping our energy and oil reserves, because they can't handle it, and they're gonna have a little thing in the streets. It was what, 4.30 or 4.5 a gallon from 1.7 in a year and a half or so. Really? And that's okay. And the wages are what, 1%, 2% highest pace. What about the gas that everybody uses in America, which are big distances? You go to work, you go 30 miles that way, 30 miles this way. Okay, you commute like crazy. I mean, at least I can remember what was the average commuting time and distance in the United States. But think about that. That you use that more than food if you have a, I don't know, 60-mile commuting time, distance. So that this has here that economists, however, are notoriously terrible at predicting recessions. They say here. All right, then guess what they do? Further in, they say that they use Megan Green, a senior fellow at Harvard's Kennedy School and global chief economist for the Kroll Institute, saying this: I don't think we're going to go into recession in the next 12 months. I think it's possible in the 12 months after that. What do you mean? Are you an economist? You just two paragraphs North, you said economists, however, are notoriously terrible at predicting recessions, and then you use this economist, chief economist. Doesn't make sense, but whatever. What do you expect? And then, of course, they blame China, coronavirus, and they blame Russia for the high prices and so on. It's true, coronavirus was the reason. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want things to happen to me. Uh, just kidding. But it's just the measures that were taken to fight the pandemic could have been different, I would say. Could have been a little bit handled differently and with better results economically and humanly, like human infections and deaths and so on. But that's just an assessment. What do I know, right? So that's it for today. Thank you very much for being with me. Stay strong, stay smart. I look for the truth and stay just. Be just. See ya.